guy over here. There we go. So on the pre-made responses that we had from the most upvoted ones, again, like I was kind of saying before, and you guys were kind of trickling in or whatever, there wasn't too much here that was like new information as such. It was good to get some clarity on like the counter offer. I'm just looking at the now, as well as a few of those other kind of slice of life additions or updates. Like manager messaging, loan systems, all that kind of stuff. So it's all very much like, it feels like a lot of the answers, we've had this before with the last AMA, is like the gateway to all the innovations and all the developments that we're kind of after is, the gatekeeper to that is the scaling solution, which we're going to have on Wednesday, which is going to be awesome. The first thing I picked up in the live AMA is that there's some like crypto convention or something. I think they said it was EFCC or something, and the two guys, Pierre and I think he said Brian, are going to be at that speaking. So I think what SoRare are a part of in terms of the scaling solution they've required and sought out and enlisted, I think it might be quite revolutionary potentially industry wise if it's getting spoken about at a big convention like that at a prime time slot. Wherever the time zone is to the thing, it's in like 5:45, which if you've ever did conventions or meetings of that kind of scale or caliber, that kind of late afternoon, early evening slot is one of the prime slots to be announcing stuff and to be unveiling things. So I'm actually quietly confident that might be a wee bit of the jet fuel that some of you guys are kind of waiting for when you see these AMAs in terms of what's in the pipeline or whatever. There's or not always, but quite often with SoRare there's been ones that you haven't seen coming. They've maybe told you about it, like, oh, we're going to be changing. Like for me, the scoring matrix change that we had to get into the score matrix we had now was amazing, and I think it did a lot for the platform, but it was kind of understated in that respect at the time. So it feels like the gatekeeper to a lot of this is what's going to be, I guess, fleshed out a bit more. I think they even said later tonight there's another post going out about the scaling solution, or maybe it's tomorrow, but there is more details to come with that, and I think that might have some jet fuel in it, might have some rocket fuel. One thing I did find interesting as well was the amount of times that the training or the non-competitive SO5 aspect was being spoken about in terms of developing it to make it more engaging and a bit more strategic, and it gives you something else to play. And I think that's great for the guys I've got guys that come on my live stream and comment all the time, and they talk about like, oh, I've not had a goalkeeper that's been playing for the last 2 months, or that kind of thing. And I think even if you are completely dormant in that respect, your gallery is small enough that you're very exposed to region calendars, I suppose, then at least when you're training your guys in the off season, there can be a little bit of chess going on for you. Or do I pair this guy with that guy, and if I put them together, it means they're training. Whatever innovations they bring out with that, and I think that could be, I think again that could be one of these kind of sleeper ones that as a innovation could just move on the platform leaps and bounds. Again, I'm still kind of scrolling through the pre-made ones. If any of you want to come up and let me know your initial thoughts, anything I've just spoke about, and maybe even anything I've not touched on yet, we can do that together. Then just send me a wee, I think you just request it or something and it pops up. What I've did the last couple of times with Spaces, 2 things, a wee bit of housekeeping. The last couple of times is I've been sending DMs to folk, and I think if I send a DM, like saying, oh, I'm doing a space, then you can just join in as a speaker already. Didn't want to do it this time because I know people are at work and stuff, and I quite often get messages back like, oh, hey man, I'm just relaying the situation basically, and I just don't want people to think like, they're under pressure to drop what they're doing at work to jump in the space. If they find us and we're here, brilliant, and if you're busy, then you're busy, kind of thing. And the second thing is it's got a propensity to crash out on me when I get like 3, 4, 5 speakers all up at once. So with the kind of format of the AMA, I suppose if you come up and you speak about something, kind of once we're moving on from that topic, I would just ask you to step down and maybe allow somebody else to come up. And it just kind of safeguards the spaces against crashing, because that's just a pain in the backside and it just ruins the experience for everyone, I find. But again, I'm still on so improvements to the transfer market. The one-shot league will not be returning from Ubisoft, but when Nick is kind of giving that answer, a site, SoRare Data and SoRare Mega, has been very ambitious for the season coming, and I think they're very well positioned to be excellent third-party outlets. SoRare Data in particular, Mega I've been on enough times to know how it kind of works, and I think that's got potential to be a great website also. But Data is like the one that we all kind of look to as the Bible, when you're starting out in SoRare especially, and even like no matter, doesn't matter how long you've been on the platform for, SoRare Data is just as a frequently visited website, if not more so, than SoRare itself. They kind of reiterate the stuff about threshold payments. I'm just looking at that now, but they do stress, rest assured that monetary prizes will always remain an important part of the gaming experience. I think that only makes sense for obvious reasons. Borrowing cards, again, they talk about, listen, if you want to borrow cards, and I think this is one thing that, again, a lot of users approach me about, is some of these ones where it's like, oh, the rule says, like, you know, I can't be borrowing a card off my pal, but I don't want us to people to think we're at it or something, you know, what's the, you know what the situation is. And my thing is, listen, it's to stop people that have got malice intentions. So if your intentions aren't malice, if they were to investigate and reach out to you, you've had a genuine situation, like, oh, it is my best pal, and, like, you know, I gave him 4 cans of beer and he let me borrow his goalkeeper for a game week, then cool. Yeah, I mean, what these rules are there to protect us against is the thing that you fear, or, you know, everyone fears from multi-accounting and from big whale kind of dominance, if you like. Javier's ready to come up and speak to us. I'll just hit you, Javier. So I think, you know, I think of a lot of those kind of rules, it's the spirit of the rule you try and make. It sounds like they keep at the front of their mind, and I would probably say to you guys out there, you can do likewise from the messages and the tones that we get from them, you know. Javier, how you been, my man?
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, how you doing, Quinny? It's been a while. I hope you're well, man.
It's been a lot. It's been too long, buddy.
Space.
No problem, man. My pleasure. What did you make of
Quinny,
the?
I actually missed the AMA. But I'm looking at SoRare Delboy's tweet, because he summed it up.
Yep.
Just in like 5 summaries, and yeah, just on like the scaling solution. What do you think could be one of the possibilities that comes about with the scaling solution? Just what would excite you?
I think what they touched on in the AMA, in the respect that it will be like instantaneous transfer of cards. Like I see Marky Boy, You Never Walk Alone, just joined us. You know, I sold a card to Mark yesterday, and we were both flabbergasted at how quick I received the ETH and was able to pull the trigger. I had another sale, I had another purchase lined up, kind of thing. So I think that aspect is going to be the main one, where you sell a card and it's not the email notification that your training lineup's been cancelled, but it's you see the balance hit. And you're like, yes, straight away it's sold, boom, there's X amount of ETH, let me go and buy the card I was lining up next, or withdraw, or whatever it is your intentions are. So I think that'll be the main one. Getting your reward instantly as well means they can do the... It's one thing I've noticed, you'll probably noticed it as well, Javier, with like the last month or so, the prizes have been available to be claimed at kind of varying times, within a window, you know, but it has kind of varied. So having that like deadline, just like when it locks in for SO5, like your team is now in, it'll be, there's your reward also from the previous game week. It should be, you know, is as much of a changeover as very seamless as possible. I think they're the two main ones. What about you? What do you think about?
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Like that whole cash flow thing, just the instantaneous transfers will help everyone at the you know, the smaller galleries and the bigger galleries, of course. But for me, I don't know. I've still got in my head like that we're gonna launch like a loan system at some point where where a loan system is built or it's baked into our platform, and I think that would be so cool. But I don't know if they've got any plans to do that yet. Maybe it's further down the line, but I'd love to see it. You know, loans. I think SoRare could do loans, and they could take a small fee to do loans where XP doesn't get halved as well. But yeah, there's so much that they could do with this L2 Starkware upgrade. What do you reckon of that, loans?
Well, in the actual AMA itself, they did kind of poo-poo the loan system in terms of it's not even on their drawing board at the moment. So I don't think it's...
Damn.
Yeah, so I don't think it's anything that I would be holding my breath on. But I think that will be something, what you described there, like, could be amazing, you know, because like one of the things I spoke about before, I think when the whole Blackpool thing got brought up in the very first instance, is that they did say that they want things to move where it can be like clan-like, you know, like it is in other esports and other kind of games that you play online. So I think as they develop that side of things, the loan system might actually come alongside that, where it's like, well, if you're all part of the same club, then your cards can move like super freely or something like that. because obviously one of the problems you've got with that is like gas fees on their end, because they eat every gas fee so far. So if I'm transferring a card from me to you and we're not in the same clan, maybe that will still be like XP penalties like it is at the moment, because there has to be some deterrent if they are carrying the can for the cost of the transaction, you know. But if it's like within your clan, maybe it's a different story, you know, because it is just like, you know, maybe the system can facilitate that in some way. So maybe one of those ones comes in the back door with something else.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Does that sound cool? I've just made it up on the spot, eh?
Nice one. I just want to say, guys, yeah, how does everyone feel about one shot, no more one shot league? I'm gonna step off the mic now, but if anyone wants to step up and you know, share their thoughts on no more one shot league, how do you feel about that, guys? I was actually looking forward to one shot league round 2, but yeah, it's a bit sad that it's not coming back, it seems.
Well, I think a lot of these things is down to like, I think with Ubisoft it was like a guinea pig, you know. So I think they gathered the beta data, if you like, that they were after, and you know what you got to. One thing as well with the one shot league is they had deliberately done it end of season for Belgium, you know,
right,
because there was only like 5 game weeks, wasn't it? And then I think they might have even got caught off guard with the whole playoff thing, and they're like, oh, we've got another 6 game weeks we can try. So I think, again, I wouldn't even rule it out coming back in toward maybe after Christmas or something, but it is just like, because you're picking a pool of players, and if it is one shot, you know, as it is, if you did that at the beginning of the season, you know, how would they work it? Would you do it in intervals in every month? You know, it's.
That's right.
So maybe they just copy and paste from this year, maybe try and beef it out. Who knows? But I think you know, if a lot of people are missing it or are gutted it's not coming back, if you just get on at Ubisoft and start just tweeting the fuck out them, because if they get, you know, public pressure and they see people are after it, that's what companies are all after, is engagement and communities and people's actually enjoying games and playing them. So I dare say if there was an outcry for it, that, you know, it might change things. Who knows?
Cool, yeah. Tail end of next season then. I'm looking forward to it.
Because as well, what they also said, JV, I've got the Del Boy tweet up from earlier that you mentioned. The absolute biggest news was, without a shadow of a doubt, 2 new leagues to be added soon and a few new clubs. So I dropped a video yesterday talking about the future of the Challenger region, and the very first thing, right, is if they're going to be launching 2 full leagues coming out new, the only ones that they don't have that are like covered by the current data package they get from Opta is the English Championship and the Scottish Premiership. They're the only 2 divisions that they get covered at the moment, where they don't have an actual club footprint at the moment. So it would, I think that could be huge on a lot of levels for a lot of reasons. But if it's not one of them, then we're getting extra coverage. So there might be some Red X players out there now that you know, in a few weeks maybe they bring on the Greek League or the Danish League or something like that, you know, and all of a sudden you've got 2 cards in your gallery from some guy somewhere, you know, who's not playing and now he is. So that could be interesting. Equally, it could be China. I'm saying Europe just because that's in the front of my mind, but imagine it was like the China Super League or something like that. That could be big.
I was thinking that too. Yeah, I was thinking it could be China. Could get the CSL or I think Asia does need a boost.
Or the Aussie League.
Yeah, so if it is, I would love it if it's A League. Guys, that'd just be like, I think a lot of us would be. But we'll see. If it's A League, I'll be over the moon, man. Yeah.
You'll be front of the queue for all the uniques.
I don't have enough. I'll play my cards close to my chest on that one. We'll see what we can do.
Magic.
I think You Never Walk Alone will beat me to most of them.
You might well do. I've got Chrissy wanting to come up, so I think Chrissy being in the top 0.01% of One Shot League, he'll definitely have some thoughts and views on that. But Javier, lovely talking to you, mate. We need to get back together for a stream or a video or something, mate.
Absolutely, man.
But I'm going to pull Chrissy up and we'll see what we say One Shot League.
I'll drop off. Bye, guys.
Cheers, Javier. Chrissy Quirk, thanks for joining us, my man.
You're okay?
Yeah, good man. What do you think of the AMA?
Yeah, just sort of briefly browsed it. Didn't really look, too in depth with it. Just wanted to listen to some other people's thoughts before, processing my own and looking into it. I think sometimes it's better to sit back and let it digest a little bit before you make a judgment.
Agreed.
So yeah, I just wanted to come on. Well, about two things. The first one, obviously, One Shot League. I'm actually it's bittersweet that it's not coming back. You know, I think there was almost 7,000 users on the second iteration of it, so you know it was a popular game mode. I think in its current iteration, I'm quite happy that it's not coming back though. Just because I think there's some kinks that need ironing out. So like at the moment, it's not really profitable for SoRare, and like I know Ubisoft are going to pay a fee and things like that, but just because I followed it more intently, what I noticed is the first iteration of One Shot League, the first sort of 3-4 weeks, I think it was a 6-game week period at first, the first 3 to 4 game weeks, the rewards, even if you were like only top 100, were really, really good. I've seen people that were like top 100 and they were getting like Jack Henry and, you know, cards that were worth about 0.1 Ethereum. So they started out really well, and I don't think they expected the amount of rewards that they were going to have to pay out for it, because from like week 4 to 6 the rewards dropped off, and then the overall rewards dropped off. I remember I finished around the 100th mark and I got, you know, Luete Dongo, like DMP. So I know like maybe they just didn't expect there'd be that many people that were involved, and you know there is a cost that comes to these things, and unfortunately there's not at the moment there's not really a way that they can make enough money back from it. So you know I would like to see it come back, but you know there's a right place and time for it to come back.
Yeah, well, I think maybe someday would maybe host it as like a pay-to-play thing almost, you know, because I think it's a premium service, like, as you say, there has to be something there. But also as well, one thing that might have kind of interfered with that potentially is like the rewards like in SO5, because like if they kind of think, right, okay, well, One Shot League, and I kind of mentioned this earlier actually, I think maybe the playoff dynamic for One Shot League wasn't even in their thinking in the first breath, because it was just set up for the 5 weeks, and it was like, okay, that's all we'll be doing, and then it was like, oh well, there is another 6 game weeks we could run for, or another 5 or whatever it was. So maybe then they'd thought about 5 game weeks and then 5 turns into 10, and the reward commitment is doubled, you know. So it might have been a little bit of that potentially as well. But I make you quite right, Chrissy. I think one of the other things as well that needs ironed out. Sorry to talk over you there, but is the main thing that actually kind of fucked you over is the whole multi-accounting part of it. That was a real ball twister, you know. So that side of things would definitely need to be worked out in some way, and I think making it a premium service might actually be a bit more organic to achieve that, you know.
Yeah, I think I agree on like the playoff system as well. It's just, you know, they didn't really expect it, and because I was in the Discord and following it, you know, like many others, you know, the developers would come on and say, you know, we've got to get back in touch with SoRare regarding this, and so I know they were obviously working things out as they went. But yeah, that's just my brief thoughts on One Shot League. The other thing that I wanted to come and talk about was about like new users and how we can support them best. I feel like we almost have like a bit of a duty of care towards them. There's obviously a lot of hype at the moment, and you know it seems like a boom's coming again. With all these new users on the platform, I'm just thinking about how we can help them, because excuse the pun, but like the goalposts are constantly changing. So they might join now in this boom and, you know, think it's all well and good while the ETH thresholds are still there, but there's nothing really in concrete about what that's going to change to moving forward. So they might join in, you know, spend a lot of money, and then sort of be like, well, what happens now? Are my cards worth, you know, what I've paid? Because I personally think that those cards that are just consistent, like ETH churners, are going to have like a relatively low to no value, and it's going to be, you know, the top performers and decent performers that are going to hold more value. So I'm just thinking about, you know, ways that we can support and help new users that are going to be jumping on. Everyone in the messages, which is understandable, always asks, you know, about a marketing campaign and things like that. I personally don't think there needs to be marketing until, you know, they've got a sort of foundation built for these new users coming in.
Agreed.
You know, whether that's the new scarcity
Agreed.
and the academies in it rather than the ETH thresholds, so they can, you know, be sustainable. And when the new users join, they're not coming onto the platform where, you know, every 6 weeks or so there's a change that they've got to come with, because I think the platform's already quite it's quite confusing as a new manager. You know, someone tells you all this information as they're trying to help you get like the annual reward and whatnot, but yeah, your head might be a bit baffled with all the changes.
No, I'll make you right there. They definitely want to make it seamless so that, and you know, I was actually having this exact same chat with, I think, McBride and Hendo yesterday, but in terms of marketing and the big push and whatever, you can feel that they are, like you just said there, and in the AMA, they did pretty much say as much. They want the machine oiled. They want every detail polished, you know, perfection. It works, it's been tested, it's been double tested, you know, and one of the interesting answers that came out, the thing as well, is about having multilingual, you know, like support staff and whatever. So, you know, they just do not want they're not letting anything go unturned, I think, before they do push out. I've just actually went back to the AMA and I've highlighted from the live AMA the answer from Carl on the threshold thing, and when I read this, and I'm really glad you brought it up, Chris, when I read this, it made me feel like, again, I don't know if it was deja vu or if it was a realisation of something I'd thought previously and hadn't quite fulfilled, but it says here, we are aware that thresholds were desirable for managers on a budget. The progression bar feature we discussed a few months back will give managers the ability to gradually build their way towards ETH and card rewards, regardless of their budget and the strength of their lineup. Now, the kind of sentiment I get when I read that is ETH thresholds get in the earlier part of that answer, it says getting those payouts every game week will not stay. So the way I kind of feel about that, or the feel that I get that is kind of made with, is like you will almost have, in terms of your progression bar, like an internal division that you are, as like a self measure, you are working against, you are competing against, like you would in any other computer game, whether you're going for prestige on like Call of Duty, or you know, you're going to try and get in Division 1 in FIFA or online, you know, all these kind of things. It's that same kind of angle or dynamic, I suppose. Sorry, I've got family in the house, you might be able to hear them, apologies. And I think that kind of longer burn will be better for people in terms of engagement and maximising what you've got. So losing out on ETH churners might be a dynamic that goes, but what will replace it will be a similar like game buster element, but it'll be for the threshold bar, it'll be for this progression bar thing that we'll have. So I think in that dynamic, in terms of the specific strategy or utility around, let's say, low performing cards, it'll just have a different lens on it, and that's just the way I kind of think of it in that respect anyway, from what they've said thus far. We had a sorry. On you go, Chris.
Yes, sorry, just quickly. Yeah, I think the obviously progression bar feature is obviously going to be, you know, something that's really important, but it was more just the point of, you know, when you do see a lot of the talk on SoRare and things like that, there tend to be a lot of users, you know, hyping a certain card for his average scores and things like that, and I think we've just got to be careful with these new users coming in. You know, if there's, especially starting for this season, you know, they pick up a certain card that they think, oh yeah, I'm going to grind out all this ETH, but, you know, users maybe aren't telling them that, you know, that ETH's going to go and things like that. So I think it's just something we've got to be careful with.
Oh yeah. All. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Sorry, I missed you on that point. Apologies, but no, I'm with you. We had a request to come up and speak from somebody earlier on. I think it was FI Trader, but the request has went away. I think it was FI Trader. I recognise the icon. But yeah, anything else from them? Anyone wants to come up and have a chat about it, let us know. But I did that kind of little feeling with the progression bar in terms of how that's going to work going forward. That was something that there you are, FI. Chrissy, great chatting to you, buddy. And I hope you, if you want to come back up with something else, just hit me. But I'm going to try and keep it to one speaker up here so it doesn't crash, if that's okay, mate. So I'm just going to hit approve on FI Trader, and you should be up with us now. Sorted. How we doing, my man?
Yeah, it was. You sort of covered it right at the end, to be honest. I think it was to do with the one-shot league. I think the point for me that was obviously really enjoyed the league and won a few cards and whatever else. But it was just the lack of control over the manipulation, I think, which was probably the main thing that killed it.
Yeah, I think when all that stuff kind of came out towards the end, especially the one that got Chris, I think that was really sore to take for, you know, when you kind of strip it down. I think Chris went on and did further investigation into it, and like the amount of like double accounting and stuff. Sorry if you can hear a tap in the background. Was like really sore to take. You know, it was one of those ones that it was kind of, you know, you don't want to see that, especially in a free to play game that was meant to be a wholesome competition. Seeing people abuse it, it's just not nice, and I don't think any fair-minded person did. It's always going to be these people that are silent, that, you know, don't have a Discord, that are just, you know, almost like independent users. You know, they have, you know, maybe they're people that don't have any community interaction. They just find this game, and if you didn't have any community interaction of any kind, then your conscience is never going to play on you. You know, like, it's funny. I was watching, I don't know how, but I was going through old videos about a week ago or so, and I came across one in December. And in December, you guys will remember this, it said in the special weekly, the top 200 managers win a goalkeeper. And I didn't even enter it, you know. And at the time I said to, you know, it was MLS goalkeepers as well. And I was like, nah, it's not really for me, you know. And like, if only 200 people are going to win it, I wouldn't really want to dirty my hands getting in that and taking that prize from somebody else, if that makes sense. But that kind of feeling will never strike somebody who might even have that kind of compassion level if they don't interact with the community. To them, it's just a game that, you know, they don't have any exposure or any in terms of accountability to maybe friends that they've made or people they talk to or trade with or whatever. So that element, it's really hard to, you know, stamp that out, because it is like people that, if they're not communicating with people, how can you relay messages to them? How can you, you know, how can you tame that?
For the
It's
easy
hard.
money, which is obviously going to appeal to a lot of people. But I think the main part of it was there's manipulation going on SoRare. It's, you have to buy 5 cards, you have to get a card which will have some money, you have to sell them cards and cash the money out. Whereas the difference between allowing people to sign up so easily on One Shot League just meant that you made an email account, you joined SoRare,
Yeah.
you got all the best players, and you had a very good chance of winning a card, which I think just allowed people to take advantage even more. And that's why they did it. They saw an opportunity, so they to get some free money, and they took it. Obviously hurt people that were playing the game regularly and doing it because they're part of the SoRare community or whatever else, just to make a quick buck. So I think next time, if it comes out, they just need to maybe look at how they control the. Obviously, the main point of it was to bring new people in, so they want to do that. That's the whole aim of the One Shot League, I think. So they need new people coming in, but they don't want people who are just going to take advantage and basically farm some cards, sell them, and make a quick buck.
Yeah, it's a killer. I make you quite right on all that. I think as well, I was talking about One Shot League when I did that Europa League video yesterday, or that Euro Challenger League, and I think it is one of these things that it's SoRare never going to push for those kind of third party outlets. You know, they'll come organically themselves from other people, and you're then looking at people and thinking, right, well, what policing are you doing towards this stuff? And like, it's, you know, it's hard, you know. I don't really, you know, I'm not a technically minded person when it comes to all this stuff, so normally suggestions that other guys throw out, like yourself and whoever else, I normally think, yeah, sounds reasonable and could be done, but it's never something that I've got much imagination for, if I'm honest. Anything else from the MA Trader that you particularly liked or picked up on, or?
2 leagues I'm quite interested. I got my own personal preference to what it will be, but I'm not sure how likely that is. I think Bundesliga for me is definitely a priority. Whether or not they'll get it, I'm not sure, but I think that's definitely going to. I mean, a lot of competitive teams that are in Europe consistently, a lot of good young players. I think it'd be a money spinner for them as well. To be honest, bringing in a lot of money with the league being as followed as it is. So that'll be my preference, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think if they got the whole German league, I think obviously FI Trader, you'll know the Bundesliga is great for shopping, for young talent and up and coming guys that might transfer into different positions in different leagues and whatever. So the Bundesliga, you can have a field day in there if they had the full division. There's so much talent to be get scouting and buying and selling and trading and everything else.
So my main team when I first joined was there 14 months ago was I've always liked Leverkusen anyway, so I just went in and I just bought all the Leverkusen players, I think I only hold about 5 or 6 now. But yeah, just in terms of the youth potential in the league, it's pretty massive. So, and that's just one. So there's plenty others where I think people that come over from Football Index know about a lot of the young German players. So it'd be quite good for us, I reckon.
Always love that FI crossover advantage. What I've got from the Emmy on screen now is somebody asked him, and I'm so glad this question came up. Is there any plans to cover the Conference League matches? And Nick just came straight out and he's like, yes, we are working on it with the data provider, which is Opta. So I think that will probably be a video that I record later today also and talk about is the teams that are in the Conference League this season that you should be aware of. And I think that will be fucking great for midweeks, because one of the fears that a lot of people have with Champion Europe in particular is that you're going up against cards that boss their matches every game week. Bayern and PSG, and they run over teams for fun, they don't even blink. But in the Conference League, and I don't know specifically off the top of my head what teams we're talking about here, but there will be teams like, I don't know, let's just say Valencia, and they'll be in a group, and it might be like Celtic, or maybe not, hopefully not Celtic, but maybe like, I don't know, St Johnstone, and if you've got Valencia against St Johnstone in a European tie, if you've got some Valencia cards, you can be pretty confident that they're going to run St Johnstone over. So I think there'll be, and I think that kind of, I think that division might actually offer SO5 so much more than maybe what people give it credit for at this stage anyway. I'll unearth the clubs and we'll kind of go through it or whatever, but I think that could be a great little door opening. And depending on what leagues we get, we might have more teams that are qualified for it as well, so that could be a really competitive thing. Because I know, I don't know about you, FI Trader, or anyone else who wants to come up and talk, but when I'm thinking about teams that are in European football, I'm quite happy to get guys that are in Europa League, because Europa League has actually it won't have more matches this season. If any of you aren't aware, the Champions League group stages is now 10 matches or something ridiculous. But Europa League, generally speaking, the level of competition in the group stage, there is a much wider disparity between the teams that qualify and the teams that get eliminated. So having some Europa League cards on the Thursday night will be brilliant, and I think this Conference League will kind of mirror that again also, that you'll have like Valencia against St Johnstone or whatever, and you can, the output.
I think that's why I commented on your post earlier, Quinny, saying we've got Benfica, Spartak, and I've got a full stack pretty much of both of them. But the fact they're playing now in the next qualifying round for me isn't actually a bad thing, because they get the game. I can put probably 2 teams in for that week in separate divisions, probably just stack one of each team. And then the following week, regardless of result, I've still got 2 teams in European competitions. So for me, it was actually a pretty big positive they got drawn together.
Yeah, I actually seen a few of the responses on that thread, and just then the AMA happened, and then I kind of get whirlwinded up. But so whoever loses goes into the third qualifying round of Europa League qualification, and then it's win that and you're in the group by all accounts. But I think even if they lost that, I think this is where it gets interesting. If they lose that Europa League game, then they go into the conference. They go into the group stages of the Conference League. This Conference League thing is like a net. It's to catch the bottom like good qualifying teams. I think so. I'm pretty sure that's how it works in any case. So it's to catch these Europa League clubs that fall at the last hurdle primarily, as well as people will qualify through their domestic competition. But yeah, so imagine like Spartak, I don't know, had a mayor and they went into the Conference League, and they were the Bayern Munich of of the Conference League, and they're battering teams from Iceland, and then next week they're battering some team from Moldova, and
Prices just go through the roof.
Oh, it'd be mental. But I'll make a strategy quite right. I would do that as well. I'll cover both bases, maybe hit 2 D3s or 2 D4s depending on how the stacks are built, and just then one of them should come good, and it could be a high scoring draw or a good SO5 wise, you could get 2 winners out of it depending on the actual makeup of the cards and the individual performances and actions around that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just to be honest, I think it'll be quite a tight game. I think Benfica have probably got the edge, but
I don't know who I really want to win, because like you say, like the Europa League is much more attractive for both those teams in my opinion than the Champions League, because I think it's quite easy for them to go in. I think both teams would probably be a third seed in a Champions League group stage, and then you're looking at being the third strongest out of 4, which isn't a great ratio on paper at least. Stranger things have happened and all that. I'm just looking through the live AMA. If anyone else wants to come up and bring up something that I've not touched on yet, or open up on something we've just spoke about, then feel free to send a wee nudge and I'll get you up here. I'm just looking through for the other answers that I highlighted that I liked from the live AMA. We are already discussing and reviewing the feedback. Changes to the matrix won't be made until the end of summer, and you'll be given fair warning and time to plan ahead. So I think that answer doesn't say that there's changes coming, but I think, you know, like, they have, you know, if there is changes, and the way kind of mentions it, it's kind of like there are changes, and when they come it won't be till this time, and we'll give you a heads up, so don't worry about it. Since you're going to expand on the new scarcity, yeah, so that's the languages thing. I've spoken about that already. What else did I like on the live AMA? Yeah, so that was the thing I referenced earlier. So it's EFCC is where Brian, it's Brian O'Hagan. You'll find him on Twitter easy enough, and I'm not sure if Pierre's on Twitter. So they're going to be doing that, and it's 5:45 CEST, which I think is an American time zone. So that should be interesting. I think that could be a wee bit of jet fuel on that. Let's see what happens. And then again, this guy Gypsy Stuff at the end asks about, like, no Gold Cup, no AFCON, no this, no that kind of thing. And I actually really like this answer from Dan. Now, the thing that I really liked about the answer is that it refers to the Copa America and the Euros, and then getting France, Belgium and Germany licensed as a soft launch. If that's a soft launch, then I cannot wait to see you know, how they roll out, you know, international tournaments going forward. If it's like similar to new season, you know, imagine, you know, if that's a soft launch, what it might look like when they do roll out the Gold Cup. Let's just use AFCON, right? The African League of Nations, whatever it's called. Then when they say, right, here we go, SO5 is now scored, and here is the licenses. Here's Ivory Coast, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, you know, and they drop all the clubs at the same time, and it's just an absolute feeding frenzy. That is the opposite of a soft launch. So if we've had a soft launch so far, then what comes next? And again, he's saying it's like not been treated unfairly or unequally or whatever. They are at the mercy of Opta and their scoring level of detail, by all accounts. But if this is, I say, what we've had so far is a soft launch, then I wouldn't feel hard done to. Just kind of need to bide your time and kind of wait for when they actually come out. But I quite like that. And I think that was the end of the live AMA, actually, in terms of the answers that I liked that we got back from it. So we're going to get 2 new leagues. We're going to get a couple of new clubs. We might get the Conference League again, so it sounds like we will, as long as Opta are covering it. I think that's all we're kind of beholden to at this stage. And I'd say everything in the prepped AMA, there wasn't really much there that was really new information. It's just all much like, you know, the scaling solution is the gatekeeper, and once we get the scaling solution, once we get past that gate, once we get over that fence, then, you know, doing the Academy League, doing all this other stuff that we're asking about, then is going to cascade out from there, you know. So more information will be forthcoming, and I think there's stuff coming out later today. I think this week we're going to get a lot of stuff. Wednesday they'll detail, of course, the scaling solution itself. There's that EFCC thing, which sounds like it's tomorrow. So I think all this week is going to be a jamboree of news and upcoming events. So I'll be very much looking forward to the podcast this week, Marky Boy, see if he's managed to get everything in before he's recording. John was here earlier. I'm sure he'll be covering stuff as well as Fantasy Gaffer. My man is in the house, and it's the first time I've had a look to see at the room. Joshy Boy. And Odin is here as well. The great Odin is himself. But yeah, so I was quite excited about this. I'll be doing the normal live stream later tonight. Again, I'm just going to hang out here for 5 minutes. If any of you want to come up and talk AMA, then by all means feel free to do so. If not, yeah, say 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes max. We'll cut and run, because I don't think there was much else to discuss. And I've got this recorded as well, so if you've just popped in at the end of this or whatever, so far we've been recording for just under 40 minutes. It will go out on the channel once I can kind of nip it and tweak it and whatever, later today probably. So live stream will happen later tonight as normal for the game week, and you'll get a little kind of video summary, if the audio worked okay, from this little Spaces endeavour that we've had today. So yeah, I was going to say something else there as well. Oh yeah, I think that was the size of it. Oh, and tomorrow I've got the member stream thing, so we'll be diving into Ye Old Y Scout and going through some players and having all that fun. So yeah, big week ahead, guys. I think it's going to be one of those ones we look at, and, you know, this time next week and go, fucking hell, man, like, didn't see that coming, you know, maybe one of those situations. So I'm buckled up and ready to rumble. I've got I'm buckled up and ready to go. nobody looks like they want to come up and bring anything else up. It feels like then I've maybe covered everything. I'm sitting here kind of half nursing a sandwich as well. I think I've eaten all the bacon out of that BLT. Let's move on to the next one. But yeah, did anything catch you off guard? Was there something you seen you're like, oh, I forgot about that? Or, oh yeah. I'm glad they've done that. Oh, we've got a wee request pop through. My man Javier's back. Javier, how are we doing? Javier?
Hey, my man. Just an off-topic one, a quick off-topic one. What do you think of the Furuhashi transfer?
I think it's a great move for all involved, and I can't wait to see him. I'm not buying him just yet. I'm going to wait for the hype to die down a little bit, because I think you'll have to quarantine, and then I'll have to train and get back up to speed, and you know, whatever. So I'm waiting for a wee bit of the hype to die down on the market. I'll go try and pick one up myself. But yeah, buzzing.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I gotta get my Celtic shirt on for sure.
I think we're going to sell some shirts in Japan this year anyway. And the local press here is saying that we'll be getting another player from the J League. It's very likely. So
really? Okay.
Yeah. So keep your eyes and ears open to that. Anja Postecoglou, see, after like one of his first pre-season matches, he said like he got asked a question about transfer policy and all that kind of thing, and his exact answer was something to the tune of, "It's not the world we live in. You can't just put people on a plane and they're here tomorrow." And literally the next day, we signed Furuhashi, and obviously he then played a game for Vissel Kobe a day or two later after that. But anyway, when he said that, the first thing that came to my mind was the Olympics. So I think there might be a Japanese Olympian, perhaps, and we'll see who that is. Matoma was heavily linked at the beginning of Postecoglou getting the job, so keep your eyes open on Matoma. And I would love it to be Koki Machida, to be honest with you, if that's just a selfish reason.
Oh, great player. Yeah. Very exciting. Yeah. So guys, if you got any tips on who the player is, please let me know.
If I do, I'll yeah. But the local press here says we should be getting our 2 or 3 players, and one of them should be from the. Said something like J League transactions are not done yet, or activity, you know, something like that. So I think we're going to get at least one more out the J League.
Awesome. Great.
I've got Joshy boy up now. Javier, thanks a lot for popping up again, mate. Great to hear from you as ever. Joshy boy, how did you enjoy the AMA? What's the thought?
Oh, hello, Crinny. Do you know what, mate? I didn't even realise I'd requested to speak, but I will now, I'm here. How you doing?
You're just acting bashful. You can't fool me.
I thought the AMA was sort of quite a lot of there's obviously some good main points. There was quite a lot of refreshers for some experienced users, I suppose, but good for new people to come along and see what's going on. But yeah, obviously you've sort of had your main big points. One shot league going is I think probably right, given how easy it was for people to multi-account and exploit rewards, as Chris Quirk knows the most, I should probably think.
Yeah.
But yeah, scaling solution on Wednesday is exciting, and I think most of the other big questions were we can let you know more once we've got the scaling solution implemented, which I suppose is fair. But yeah, I think it wasn't as exciting as the last AMA maybe, but certainly with some good points in it.
Yeah, sorry, I've had a few DMs, I was just kind of checking up on them as well. In terms of the one-shot league, Bobby Flynn was saying to me, the increase in user base forced him to recalculate rewards and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that definitely had an. We were chatting about that earlier. Sorry if that wasn't quite in line with where you were at. And Mark McBride was saying to me that he sorry, there's a development, right? So in my little DM chats, Josh, it was you. It might have even been Josh, it was a tweet from you. It's been sent into my DMs. So Dan from SoRare said one of the new leagues is already covered and one isn't. So I think that means we're getting Scotland or the Championship, and then we might get maybe Austria or Greece or Ukraine. Imagine they got Ukraine. I think they're kind of obligated to do something with Ukraine at this point, but it's not the division I would pick to add in right now. But just because the domestic situation is so bizarre at the moment, I would definitely like it to be I think Denmark would be decent. Austria would be great for Salzburg, of course. But yeah, that's just a little kind of development that just came to me. Greece would be good. I think if we've got Turkey, you know, I mean, Greece is definitely on a similar level to Turkey in terms of European football standings, you know.
Yeah, I think Professor Tech has just put on Twitter that he thinks it could be France and Australia, which I thought was interesting. Javier will be pleased.
Australia would be interesting.
But yeah, I think Australia means there'd be no gaps in the Asian calendar, which I think would probably make sense.
Oh, we do. China is also scored at the moment as well, so maybe it might be China.
Yeah, one of those. And then France, obviously, just because SoRare love France because they're French.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that could well be. I mean, I really don't know. I think Scotland, is one of the more likely ones as well, maybe.
Yeah, I would think so.
But yeah, I think it'll basically either be like Scotland or Australia, and then probably France. But we shall see, I suppose, will that?
Yeah, those English-speaking demographics surely have to be a driver for them.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? So so much of the you know, like the UK and America is two of the biggest demographics that SoRare currently has. You know, so the more plug-in you can get, and I know they're doing, you know, they mentioned at the EMA like more main language tech support and customer services and whatever, but if you can do organic growth like that, and even like there's a massive Spanish contingent, and if you go on YouTube and you just search like SoRare stuff and you're not worried about who speaks English, you'll see that there's tons of people out there doing Spanish stuff and Italian stuff and whatever. So I think that kind of thing, you know, might play into it also. I think even equally the China Super League, the Asian market, could get a bit more attention as well. But that could be amazing. But yeah.
Yeah, sure. Are you targeting any European lineups this weekend, Quinny? Sorry for the off-topic question, but obviously they are back.
I'm gonna. So yes, I've got the Sanger and T&Cs combo back. I've got a Jetty back in action, and I was really excited until I seen the draw. I was really excited to get Falcao on the pitch this year, but I don't see him doing much away at PSV. Like unless they win a penalty, he'll be on penalties because he's Falcao. That's what he does. So yeah, the T&Cs Sanger combo is back in effect, and a Jetty. A Jetty's played every game of pre-season. Postecoglou likes him by all accounts, and Edward is linked today to be signing for like fucking Brighton or something like that. I think they're spending their Ben White money on Edward, or some of it at least. So if Eddie's out the door, then there's negotiating. But we always get this situation at Celtic where we're about to play a qualifier. It happened with Dembele when he went to Lyon. It happened with Hooper when he left. I'm pretty sure, I don't think it actually happened to Wanyama, but it happens all the time. We're about to play a big qualifier and there's always like, oh, we've not had enough time to prep, and this year's been the worst by a long way, but every year we're in this situation, and then it's at the 11th hour, oh, we're going to sell this guy so he's not in the team anymore, because I suppose at Brighton he wouldn't have the problem of being cup tied for Champions League, but sometimes we've had that problem when, you know, you're selling guys to or trying to sell guys to teams in Europe like Lyon or whatever. So anyway, so yeah, I think a Jetty will play. If he's having a Jetty out there, I would definitely get him in the team. Furuhashi will not be playing, so if you're even thinking about that, don't. He won't be playing. Yeah.
Nice, good stuff. I've only got 2 PSV players, so I will not be. I do have a Mbaye Diagne actually, who is back at Galatasaray now after his West Brom stint, but I doubt he will be. In fact, I'm not even sure if they've registered him. I think the plan is to get rid of him again.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I don't think I think I picked PSV over Galatasaray, which again is probably good for both involved, because PSV, if you look at them in SoRare, they are covered in like exciting talent for SO5 and for real world football. So you kind of want them in the Champions League group stages and getting the big eyes on them and getting the TV on them to kind of increase their profile. And Galatasaray are not, you know, from what I've seen of them since they've been on the platform and kind of knowing the situation they've been in over the last 5 years, like they're not Champions League ready. They would be much more suited for my SO5 situation to the Europa League, I would say. So I don't see Galatasaray getting past PSV. I don't want Galatasaray to get past PSV. And I say with Benfica and Spartak, I've got no idea who I would want to pick. We're venturing into game week chat, but Joshy boy, so I'm going to keep that for the stream tonight. I'll leave the spaces open for like another minute or two, but I'm at 3 minutes. I'm at 53 minutes on my watch now. I'll wait for it to go 55. If there's no more requests for anyone who wants to come up and add anything in from the AMA, then I think I'll just lovies and leavies at this point. It means then I can get this video rendered and pop it out there for anyone who missed the beginning or missed most of it or wasn't here at all, kind of thing. So give it another 2 minutes or so. But yeah, I just went back to on screen. If any of you are watching this after we've been live, just went back to the Del Boy tweet. Sums it up in 5 points, and I think we've kind of spoke about everything. The improved monetary rewards is probably the only thing we didn't go into in any level of detail, but I think that whole progression bar situation, I say, is going to feel like you have your own personal, almost offline experience, if you like, with that progress bar. That's the kind of feel that I get from their answers. Is that's the place in the world that it has. You know, it's kind of like the offline equivalent. You know, to like a normal game or a traditional game that you'll play on your PC or your PlayStation or your Xbox or whatever, where you can just play yourself. You don't need to interact with anyone else. You don't need to worry about the global standing in the leaderboards. You can just tick along, score X amount of points, hit these criterias, hit these targets, jump through these hoops, and then at the end of the campaign, if you like, I'm thinking about shooting games when I say that, you know, which is every 3 months for some games it's 1 month. Then at the end of the campaign, you've got the choices of doors 1, 2, and 3. You know, what door do you want to pick, or, you know, that kind of situation. And I think that, again, people that just don't have social media or just find this game organically through whatever means, you need them engaged also, because just I never used Twitter until making YouTube videos, quite simply. I'm never off the fucking thing now, which is a pain in the backside. But I know if I didn't make YouTube videos, I'm off Facebook altogether. I just cannot stand it. I hate it. And I wouldn't be on Twitter, you know, so if I didn't do this stuff, I wouldn't be on social media at all. And there'll be plenty of other people in this day and age that are getting that kind of way, where social media is just like, it's good for football. I guess it's good if you're into politics, because current events are there quite quickly and all that kind of stuff, but that is its only real use. So my point being is, you need that kind of, in air quotes, offline mode to really tick boxes for people that you just are not aware of, and you're not, it's really difficult to cater for them, because there is no interaction with them of any kind really, unless you get them responding to email Q&As or email customer satisfaction surveys, that kind of thing, which again, engagement can be, you would suspect, low on potentially. But again, as I say that, like, anyone who's found SoRare at this point in time must be quite internet heavy, you know, because it is, you know, it is niche at the moment. It's not widely publicised or readily available, so that's a kind of contradiction, I suppose, in a way. But you'll still find people that fit that mould in some way, shape or form. I've rambled, guys, for a wee bit too long, I think. There's no more requests to come up and speak. I thank everyone who came up and interacted with me today. Thanks very much. If you watched this video and made the cut and whatever, thank you very much. I'll see you tonight for the live stream. I'll see you tomorrow for the members. I'm going to be cutting a video on the Europa Conference League maybe later today, so that'll come out to you. Hope you all enjoy that. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and yeah, catch you later.